Raz, thanks for coming in at the end of the week on a crisp Friday morning. I thought it was important to sort of outline what had happened over the last week and where the club is going forward. It's been a quite crazy week.
Yeah.
So first of all, if we go back to sort of the start, why did we feel a change of head coach was necessary?
Well, first of all, I think when we appointed Marinus and Roy in the summer, we all felt that we've done an extensive search process. We really felt it was the right decision. Now 3 months later, we just have to put our hand up and say, well, we made a mistake. It wasn't the right decision. So why wasn't it the right decision? Well, there were some fundamental processes at the training ground that didn't work to the level we expected. We've been trying to improve that over the past few months, and it hasn't improved to the level we wanted it to improve to. So in the end, we felt that the right decision was to make a change rather than trying to protect something that we didn't really believe was going to work, and that's what we did.
Obviously, from the outside, there's been a lot of talk about it only being 8 games into a season, so and only 3 months or so since Marina started work.
Yeah.
Was that enough time?
No, I completely understand how it looks to the outside world. It looks like we made a panic decision, and I don't feel it was a panic decision. It was not a decision based on 8 league games. It was a decision based on 3 months of training. And as I said, there were some fundamental processes in terms of getting a full football operation to work to its maximum that wasn't at the level we wanted it to be at. And this was our concern, that this could have an influence on a negative impact on results in the longer term if we didn't take action immediately. And so that's what we did. I mean, I look back and I definitely think this was never going to be easy. I mean, Roy and Marinus have been really unlucky with injuries, and the club had to sell key players to meet the FFP. So it was not easy, but Phil and my responsibility is to do what's best for Brentford long term, and we need to be able to make those decisions, even though they're the tough ones, and this was a tough one, but we believe it's necessary.
So once you'd made the decision that you needed to change the head coach, what options did you have?
Well, it was very clear to us that we did not want an external solution because it would be too risky to bring in a guy from the outside, and we wanted to stabilize the training ground. We wanted to get all the competences we have down here to flourish. And in our opinion, that could only happen by promoting from the inside. And we've been looking at Lee's coaching over the past 3 months with the development squad, and have been really impressed with that. So we felt that Lee was our man to stabilize the processes down here and to give us the energy back. And so that was the reason for him. We always knew that Lee was not going to be a permanent option. He made that very clear to us when we started talking, and we respect that. But we feel we have a job to do in the short term, and he's the best man to do that.
You mentioned that you spoke to Lee. What sort of things did you talk about when you discussed with him about taking the role on?
Oh, we've been very clear with Lee about what are the objectives we want him to achieve. It's very clear. So it was important for us to create a framework that Lee could see himself working within, and that's what we did. So it's been some good constructive conversations we've had with Lee, and as I said, I really think that Lee's the man for us to make sure that Brentford gets back on track.
So you were never in any doubt that Lee wanted and was able to do the job of head coach?
No, we were never in doubt that Lee could do the job, and he made it clear very early that he didn't want to be the permanent manager. But we have a short-term job here. We have some very clear objectives that we want to achieve within the next months, and no, Lee was our man.
So when Lee said publicly afterwards that he didn't put his hand up for the job, he didn't want to be a manager, that didn't come as a surprise to you?
No, that's something we've discussed internally. I mean, in hindsight, we could probably have dealt with that a bit better. But I think that it wasn't a surprise for us. Certainly, we always knew that Lee was not going to be our permanent solution. He has a very, as I said, very clear objectives for what he's going to achieve in the short term, and while he's doing that, then we're looking for who's going to be the permanent manager for Brentford Football Club.
What do you think Lee's future holds, sort of up perhaps in the next couple of months, and then after when you get a new head coach in?
It's difficult to say. I mean, as a club, I mean, we really want to keep Lee involved somehow, but we also have an agreement with Lee that we'll see how things go, and then we'll take that discussion when that becomes relevant. So, but Lee is very much appreciated in Brentford, and I hope that he will continue to be so.
For the people that don't see Lee on the training ground, you've mentioned how you were impressed with him. What does he have that impresses you?
Lee is very calm. He's emotional, stable. So it doesn't matter if we win or lose. He's the same guy. He comes into the training ground, and he's got a very good coach. So bringing that energy into the team is one of his biggest strengths. Then Lee is also very, very good leading other people, I think. So we got a lot of competence, a lot of expertise here at the training ground, and as much as the head coach's job is to bring the best out of the team, his job is also to bring the best out of the staff, because that will eventually affect the team positively. And I think Lee is the guy to bring the best out of the specialists we have here.
And it sounds like that was something you really felt was needed as an injection in the short term.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't want to really go into detail with what the processes that didn't work, because I personally enjoyed working with Marinus and Roy, and it was never going to be an easy task for them. But there were some fundamental processes we weren't happy with.
Well, when you look back on the past week, how would you assess it as a whole?
Well, I think in hindsight, we should have been better explaining the reasons for the decisions. So I'll apologize for that to the fans. I mean, they deserved a better explanation that we gave them in the first place. But I also feel, even though it's been a tough decision, I feel this was a necessary decision, and there's never a wrong time to make the right decision. And I speak to people here, and I think lots of people feel that this was the right decision, and Brentford is getting back on track. So for the future, I'm very, very optimistic. I think we have a great group of players. When the injured players start coming back, we will look very, very good. And I'm very happy with the staff we have as well. We have a great group of staff here who have some competences that I believe really can take us to the next level.
You discussed about how the process of appointing Marinus and Roy didn't quite go right. Is that something that there'll be an internal conversation about as to how to do it differently next time?
Definitely, yeah. We look back and we clearly made a mistake, but we got to learn from that, and there are lessons to learn, and we're already speaking about how to do this different next time. So recruitment is a difficult discipline. I mean, it's very difficult to get it right all the time, but we should try and be less and less wrong, and that's what we're working on now.
Finally, Rasmus, as we've got you here, how would you assess the strength of the squad currently? Because ultimately they're the 11 players in red and white who go out to represent us all. And I mean, do you see more players coming in following the arrival of John Swift yesterday?
We are evaluating the situation every week, and we had a very, very turbulent first 3 months with the number of injuries and the seriousness of some of those injuries. So we are looking at the market all the time to see what's happening with squad, how is it developing, and do we need to bring in new players? And John was a result of that process. So it's an ongoing process. I can't say we will not bring in other players, or we will bring in, but we're always looking in the market.